Hey, Kelsey, Norm MacDonald here. So, you have a podcast, huh? Fantastic. You know what I always say? You know what the world needs more of? Podcasts.
Live from the Screwball Whiskey Studios, The Kelsey Hudgins Show.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, live from the Screwball Whiskey Studios, indeed. Let me get this switched over here. Hey, there you go. www.screwballwhiskey.com, S-K-R-E-W ballwhiskey.com. Tomorrow's stories begin right here, Screwball Whiskey. How's it going there, ladies and gentlemen? There's that sweet, sweet intro, Valish says. Shout out once again to Screwball Whiskey. Tomorrow's stories begin right here. All other peanut butter whiskeys claim to be the best, blah, 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 whatever have you. There's only one true peanut butter whiskey champion, and that is Screwball Whiskey. All other peanut butter whiskeys are posers. So also shout out at the top of this podcast to the fine folks over at STMPodcast and Drama City Productions, who actually, you guys will notice down at the bottom of the ticker right now, that right next to my name at Yonder Wizard on Instagram, you'll see DramaCityProductions.com. And that's awful convenient because we are actually here with Ben Reynolds, the founder of DramaCityProductions.com and co-host of the STM podcast, the Small Town Mentality podcast. Give it up for Brother Ben, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for him.
Hey, how's it going? I'm coming to you live from the Drive, the Peterbilt Studios.
That's right. He's coming at you live from Peterbilt Studios, ladies and gentlemen. He is... excuse me, I'm going to clear my throat probably just once during this. Ben
now
here.
Let me clear my throat.
That's right. Ben here is actually live from the road. He is a long distance truck driver, and I guess maybe not super long distance, but you go a long distance for maybe not for truckers, but for normal people, you drive a shitload longer than normal people usually do. Do I have that about right?
Yeah, I can put in about 500 miles a day, which is somewhat normal compared to other drivers. Oh,
yeah. Well, you know, exactly. So that's about what I'm trying to get
down.
So for the rest of the folks who do not know you, we got Cats, we got Valish, we got Chuckle in the chat.
What up?
So yeah, and also you'll notice that my background, and Ben is driving, so that's why we're not doing video with him. So, but we are, you'll notice that my background is just like half green screen, half not, and I don't have it turned on because guess what? I just don't care anymore. I was talking to Red Band on VR chat once, and he was just like, you know what, man, a lot of people just kind of want to do the setup like that. He's just, I don't really care anymore. It's fun to play with, but it's just not necessary. But enough about me, Brother Ben, out there on the road. How the hell are you, man? It's been a while since we've talked because we're on somewhat different schedules. How you been, buddy?
I'm doing okay. You only talked to him once? Sorry, I had to throw that in there. I'm doing all right, man. Living life. Doing the pod, doing the drives.
Yeah, man. We're on completely different schedules right now.
Yeah.
Well, kind of. I'm sort of getting back to my normal schedule, which sleeping a little bit later. They used to
stay up all night with.
Yeah, I did. I used to stay up. All night long, man. Just living that life on pure air, just a psychopath that liked to stay awake. And what was great about that is we had, and I would say there's been two peak, like, I guess, moments, like over the course of a few weeks in voice chat where there's a really good core of people who are in every single night. And for a long time, that was like me and you were part of that crew, as was I. And yeah, now that I'm on like a different schedule, I'll wake up at like 11 a.m. on the East Coast, and now everybody's awake at a normal time on the West Coast. So I'm like chatting with all those folks and the Aussies. But again, enough about me.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, yeah, because we used to stay up all night chatting, and I feel like everybody in the Discord kind of moved to day shift, and now because I'm up all night all the time, I'm all by myself.
Yeah, well...
I was also going to say that it's weird doing a podcast like this, because I'm not in the studio, which is odd to do a podcast, and when I'm on the headset, and I'm listening to you, I forget that I'm a part of this, because when you're just listening to people sometimes,
yeah,
you forget that, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm on a podcast. I'm not just in the Discord listening to people talk.
Which is a fun thing to do, and I like to do that for a while. Like, I'll sit and listen for a good bit, and then if somebody mentions me, I'm here. I'm just chilling. But
yeah, we were discussing quite a bit before we started this. Different things, Spotify and all that junk.
Yeah, let's actually talk about that. That was really interesting. So, in case there are anybody out there who may be interested in doing a podcast in the future, we have gone through a lot of troubleshooting in the last conversation that we had before we decided to even do this. And this is a very spur of the moment. It's like, shit, why not? He's like, we could have already done a podcast. I was like, fuck it, let's do this thing. So Ben here is we and myself, we've both been on Spotify for a while now as far as the podcasts go, and
yeah,
we were talking about the option of exclusive video on Spotify and what they might offer going forward, and whether or not it's worth it to, quote unquote, make a switch even, or I don't even know if we went that far as to make a switch, but just to...
to be honest with you, I probably would make a switch.
Yeah.
But the problem is I don't know who they're going to buy, or if they're going to buy anybody, or if they're going to try to start their own video. I don't know what it's even called, video media program. Yeah. But yeah, we were talking about how easy it would be to integrate the things we already use onto that program. But yeah, I don't have a problem leaving YouTube at all, to be honest with you. But that's just me. I don't have the following, some people do.
Yeah, and I've done pretty good with YouTube thanks to my buddy Jamie Deluxe, and I ashamedly haven't been spending as much time with Jamie and the Stone Philosopher page. I love y'all. Y'all know I love my Deluxe family. But Jamie helped me out a whole lot with YouTube here, and Valis is bummed he won't be able to listen to music alongside podcasts. And yeah, amigos, that's right, Vimeo is what we were talking about, and Ben brought up that the Spotify might be able to buy out another video production company, or like a video streaming network, I guess you could call it. Whatever have you. And yeah, I realized that Rogan produced Doug Stanhope's new special that came out, which was released exclusively on Vimeo. So there could be a connection there. But
how pricey would Vimeo be? They just spent so much money on Rogan. Do they have enough left over to buy Vimeo? Vimeo, I think, would be pretty pricey.
I think because they just spent so much money on Rogan, they have. I think that they've got the upper hand now because they've signed the greatest player in the league, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like they've got that going for them, and plus. We were talking the other day, like, how much is Spotify worth? Who was talking about that? Somebody was talking.
I mentioned today, I'm sure that their stock prices bumped after that release, that Joe Rogan was going to go over there exclusively. I'm sure their stock bumped.
Yeah, I'm going to Google right now Spotify worth. As of April 2020, the company had 286 million monthly active users, including 130 million paying subscribers. But I want to know. Okay, following its successful public listing yesterday, the music streaming service Spotify is now worth around $25 billion, making it the largest music company in the world.
Wow.
So, I think they can afford Vimeo. Let's see.
I know they bought Anchor.
Did they buy Anchor?
Yeah, they own Anchor.
Let's see Vimeo's worth. Go ahead.
BT Dubs, this is going to be a very podcast-heavy episode probably because me and Kelsey both have podcasts and I own a podcast network, so just throwing that out there right now. It might be a lot of inside baseball.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's an announcement. Yeah, that's right, amigos. It is stock spike because of Rogan. And Vimeo is video sharing service is worth about $1 billion. So they could probably easily acquire that because, shit, 200, what did I say? Worth around $25 billion. They could afford to take on Vimeo. And if they did take on Vimeo, the ad revenue that they would probably get from just Rogan's Rogan show and the traffic for clicks and watch hours and dude, they would. This is a great investment for Spotify if they were to overtake Vimeo. I don't know what else there really
is besides Vimeo. Like, what else is out there that they could acquire? You know what I mean? It's YouTube and Vimeo. That's about it for video platform.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there is anything else as far as.
Well, we talked about porn websites, I guess.
Oh yeah, and now.
But I don't know if Spotify. I mean, you could buy something like that and change the name of it. You know what I mean? I guess.
Yeah, but Pornhub's not selling.
Platform.
Dude, I guarantee. How much you? Let's play a game. Over under $1 billion. How much do you think Pornhub is worth?
Oh yeah, it's probably pretty crazy. I bet it's over. It's over. But they don't really. Well, I guess they do ads. I mean, they're not like YouTube ads, but they're ads. They definitely have ads on the videos. I mean, I wouldn't know.
Uh-oh. We just lost Ben real quick for a second. There he is. You good, buddy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hit the wrong button.
That's fine. I'm trying to see. I'm on the Wikipedia page, but I don't think that has like an updated. I know the site is worth $2,792,500,000 worth web.
Okay. So yeah, I figured it was over $1 billion for sure.
But yeah, that's just the site Pornhub.com, I think, as far as like website, the website value.
So, okay. The domain name or whatever?
Yeah, the domain. So Katz wanted to know, what perks do you get for the truck driving?
Perks. I don't know. I don't know what he's asking there, perks. Like, I get some money off of my phone bill, I guess, and like half off of hotels and things like that. That's for the company, not really from truck driving. I get to listen to podcasts all day.
I think he might be asking about, like, do you get hooked up anywhere, like maybe truck stops or... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I pilot the truck stop. I got $40 right now because I fuel up every day there. So I got $40 just sitting from my points.
That's pretty neat. I'm asking. I know I'm not being the best host right now for the viewers. Sorry about that. I'm asking to see if anybody can find us what the net worth of Pornhub is. I got Chuckle Stalker out there. He probably knows it off the top of his head.
I wonder which one's more. Yeah, I wonder which one's more, either Vimeo or Pornhub. It'd be kind of interesting to find out.
I'm gonna go with Pornhub being a little bit more than Vimeo.
But yeah, I mean, I get points from that. Everybody on social media the last couple of months during this whole thing has been real appreciative of truck drivers. So that's been nice. A lot of signs. I've seen a lot of signs.
Oh, that's pretty nice. Uh-oh. What happened? We're getting some kind of yeah, I can hear you, but it's I think you're something might have disconnected. The perks of being on the road, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Matt Polson, good to see you, buddy. Always here for the entertainment. We're here talking to brother Ben Reynolds of the STMPodcast. I have links in the description of this video to all of Ben's social media with STM podcast, Small Town Mentality Podcast. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel as well. He and his co-host, who is asleep right now somewhere in the middle of Wyoming, is actually from my hometown. Like, we're from literally the same hometown. And there he is. Yeah, we're actually from the same hometown. Brother Randy Gardner, who is Ben's co-host here on the Small Town Mentality Podcast. So there's links in the description of this video right now. Go subscribe and follow on Instagram and Twitter. Do we got you back, buddy?
I lied to you.
Good?
I lied to you. I thought I was going to have good service all the way.
No, that's fine, man. I'm good.
You'll just have to keep talking every time I pop out, and I'll pop back in. I apologize for the quality. I'm driving, so you never know with service.
Don't apologize, man. We were just about to. I was actually just about to bring up the fact that for a lot of you who don't know, I've talked to Ben a lot through the whole quarantine situation, and we're not going to go into talking about it because everybody is oversaturated. Too many people talk about it, but that sounded like Trump. It's oversaturated. Too many people talk about it. Everyone agrees. But Ben here has worked the entire time, and he actually transports fuel. So
yep.
I know that so many more people transport if you buy anything, you should thank a trucker, basically, because if you go to a store to buy anything, or even if you order anything offline, somebody has to transport that, and those are the people who have not been able to take off work. So, Brother Ben here, when you were saying that, you get a lot of people who are, putting up signs thanking the truckers and stuff like that. Like, that's very deserved. And like, it's I don't know, it's a shame more people don't give appreciation to where it's due. But as a friend, I appreciate what you do for the people in that area of the world that you most certainly assist in getting on their way. So hats off to you, pal.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it took them long enough.
Yeah.
On social media, it's like we've been around a while.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it. But yeah, it takes a pandemic to people like, oh yeah, truck drivers are cool.
Hey, man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, whatever it takes, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it takes. So, were you able to do some Memorial Daying with the fam earlier?
Damn it.
Oh, did we lose you again?
Almost.
Did you get to do?
You're just gonna have to keep talking. I'll always come back. I promise. I'll always come back.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm good. I'm good at it. Did you get to do any Memorial Daying with the fam before you had to get on the road today?
I did not. Nope. I slept all day and went to work. That's my life. But we did some fun stuff this weekend.
That's pretty cool, man.
We went up to a little town called Soda Springs, Idaho. Took the kids up there. It's quite a drive, which I love to do on my weekends, drive more. But we saw a geyser. It was a man-made geyser, and it was going off at the time we pulled up. It was pretty cool. See, the kids loved it.
Oh yeah, I bet so. Actually, Amigos in the comments here was in episode of Small Town Mentality this past Friday, which I haven't watched yet, but I will obviously. But he has a very, very good suggestion, And I think my podcast listeners would love if you would do it one time, Ben. Just one time. You know what I mean.
Oh.
Just one time.
I gotcha. Did you get that?
Nope.
God damn it. I'm going to try again.
Hey, there it is.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, got that horn. The one thing that's like, as a kid, it's so exciting. And I will let you say it, Ben, because you say it better. But you've always said about when you see kids doing that on the road.
Oh, yeah, it's the best, man. I see it. I don't get to see it as much as I'd like to. But, you know, it's on the horn. It's either when they do the hand signal.
Whoop, whoop. That's right, Chuckle. Yeah, man, I remember that being a big deal when I was a kid because, I don't know, I grew up off of an interstate, kind of, and I grew up, me too, amigos, fucking love it. I grew up off of Interstate 95 in South Carolina, and a lot of, like, truck stops around, and when you walk into a truck stop, gas station, just about the only toys that they're going to have as a kid is a little plastic trucker, you know? And
yeah,
obviously when you're a kid, you're going to look at all the toys in the place, and it's always little plastic trucks. I mean, I don't know. That's a neat fucking thing. And by the way, I have to let my listeners know, you have to go and watch Small Town Mentality Podcast just so you can see what Ben looks like, because when you have the idea of what a trucker is supposed to look like, it probably looks a lot like me. But Ben does not look like what you think a trucker would look like.
The anti-trucker.
No, which is going to bring me to the next portion of this episode. Ben looks more like what you think maybe an edgy youth pastor might look.
Perfect.
But
and you know what? I almost was. We've talked about this before. I almost was an edgy youth pastor.
I know, which is why I say which brings me to the next portion of this episode, because now we're going to talk about something that probably only me and you can talk about. Because one night we had the longest conversation ever about growing up in church and doing the youth group thing and the Christian music and going to the Christian music festivals and all of this stuff. So
yeah, that's why I have a Christian music channel in my Discord server, so we can just, when we remember stuff, we can post it in there and be like, oh, yeah, that was a great band.
Yeah. That's right. And I mean, there's so many great bands that we were throwing around that night. But what I wanted to bring up is just the fact that you grew up in a similar situation that I grew up in, as in that we both grew up in very, very religious homes. And it has sort of, and I don't want to, sorry, Dad, I love you, but just you've said that it's sort of soured in a way the whole religion aspect of it. And I haven't really gone too far into conversation with you about like my personal beliefs. Like I am a Christian still. I still believe in the quote unquote nonsense, but it's definitely not the way that it was when I was a kid. What do you think is our pros and cons of growing up in an immensely religious home that you can see as an adult now?
So the morals is a big thing, and that's a big thing with a lot of people. Like, it does give you decent morals, respect. I think you learn how to have respect for people.
Right.
But that could also be a small town. Like, I grew up, you shake somebody's hand, and I said this the other day. So I met somebody on location, right? And he's the boss over there or whatever. And in the midst of all the coronavirus, you're supposed to keep your distance and whatever.
Yeah.
I walked right up to the guy. I shook his hand and said, "Nice to meet you. It's the first time I met you. I've been coming here for about a year." Shook his hand. didn't think twice about it until afterwards. I was like, oh, probably shouldn't have done that. But that's just built in, you know?
Yeah.
It's a built-in thing. You shake somebody's
Right.
hand when you meet them. And I don't know if that was more religion or small town, but a mix of both probably. Yeah. To introduce yourself, start a conversation. I think church helps a lot with that because you're almost forced to gather and meet and talk to people in a way.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a big thing, maybe a little bit of structure, that sort of stuff. Cons, we've talked about a little bit. For one, I think religion there's good and bad. There's good and bad. So, I don't know, sometimes you're like, with the bigger stuff we've talked about, like people just taking money, no taxes.
Oh, yeah.
Touching kids, that sort of thing.
Those are the worst.
And the judgment. The judgment's a big thing. I mean, even in small churches, people get, you know, they say, you know, thou shalt not judge, but you know that there is.
Oh, yeah.
If, like, a homeless person walks into the church, nobody's going to sit by them or introduce themselves. Outcast, tattoos, sex. Sex is a big thing, huge. I'm sounding like Trump now also, huge.
I'm telling you, it's large. It's great. It's grand. By the way, before we move any further, Storia in the Discord found out that Pornhub has a net worth of $1.5 billion.
Okay, so that's less than Vimeo, right? Oh, no, we never found Vimeo.
No,
we never found
is
out what Vimeo was.
Vimeo is $1 billion.
Okay, so Spotify's $2 billion. Pornhub's 1.5. Vimeo is 1.
Well, no,
so, I mean, that's a lot of scratch.
Spotify is 24 billion, I think, 20 something billion.
Oh,
yeah, 20 something billion. Yeah.
So that's like a quarter of their worth to buy one of those.
Well, no, it's like 1/24th to acquire Vimeo. If it's because I think 24 billion is the right number, but anyway,
well, if you're gonna buy one of them, you might as well take the lower one that doesn't have the stigma around it, right?
Right, absolutely. You could acquire Vimeo easily, but I didn't want to. But I sidetrack to to that. But
it's all right. We're hanging out.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, back to the church talk, like. You're right, the hypocrisy in it, the judgment.
Yeah.
Dude,
money's a big thing.
The money, that's the thing that gets me is like, we've got these giant mega churches with Joel Osteen and
he's not the only one. He was just the only one that got caught.
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. And you see all of these people who like these televangelists, like these Jack Van Imp characters, and I'm just throwing that name out there. I don't know anything about the character of this guy. I've never watched his show, but my granddad, before he passed, he loved Joel Osteen. But then the more I listen to Joel Osteen, he doesn't have like a cross in his church anywhere. He rarely ever talks about like any real things from he's just a good news guy. He's like he just.
I feel like there's a lot of overacting.
Yeah,
if I'm being honest. Overacting for the ratings. I don't know, but when you hit somebody with your coat and they fall down, I never really believed that stuff.
Dude, I grew up.
And don't get me wrong, I grew up in it.
Yeah,
I knew the power of God. I felt the Spirit, and people get up and dance and move. That's fine. But the whole, sometimes they just touch you, and, I'm healed, you fall to the floor. Like, I don't think a coat's going to push you to the ground.
Oh, not at all.
Or a gust of air.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of overacting in it. And they've got a whole network now. They've got their own TV station. I think it's called 700 or something.
Yeah.
Where all they do is play church sermons. They got it locked down, man. Podcasts.
Yeah, the 700 Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I remembered.
How much do you think that's worth?
God. Hey, let's find out. net worth of the 700 Club.
But yeah, like we've talked about it. Grew up in that stuff. We've seen it. We've seen people talking in tongues. That was a big thing. I remember growing up. I don't think I ever did it. You know, maybe I was never fully invested, I guess. But yeah, I was well on my way to becoming a youth pastor. I went to pastors and leadership conferences. I ran the youth group. We were on a touring. We toured, which is sad, but we toured in a, we called it Human Videos, but it was like a drama club for the church.
Yeah.
We did act outs of songs. Toured our little state. We went out of state, Utah, Wyoming, Idaho. We toured. It's crazy.
Drama club, man. Drama team.
Yeah, drama team.
I remember doing that shit. So 700 Club, CBN, the Christian Broadcast Network.
Yeah.
It has a net worth of $42 million, and the owner of that has a net worth of $100 million. So
Of course he does.
Yeah, not a lot.
Of course he does.
Yeah, and I don't know. You can have a lot of money and still
All tax-free, by the way.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I don't really care much about it, is that anything now can say that they're a church.
We're a church. We should turn the podcast network into a church. Tax-free, baby.
That's right. Oh, Theck
Shout out
in
to
the
Drama City
comments.
Productions.
I bet your missus wishes you talked in tongues, Ben. Hey, guys and gals. Hey-o. Coming in hot. But no.
If Amigos is still watching, we should talk to him about turning the network into a church.
Amigos, we turn the network into a church. All of us will be members of a cult. Just kidding. It'll actually be a church. But see, that's the thing that I don't like, is there are some churches, like, for instance, the church that my dad goes to in Bennettsville, South Carolina, that church ain't doing nothing shady. You know what I mean? They're actually going out and donating money into the community, and they ain't doing nothing shady out of that little country church in Bennettsville, South Carolina. But
yeah, some of our small town churches I grew up in weren't doing anything. I mean, they were barely surviving, keeping the lights on most of them.
Right. And they're having like board meetings where old men sit on the back pews and bitch about, nobody cutting the lights off when they leave the church or stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
I grew up going to meetings like that in a little country Methodist church, and they're not doing anything shady. And I think those places, they may deserve to live up under that. Yeah,
I ran into a guy the other day. I was outside. I think it was Saturday afternoon, evening. Outside playing football with my kid, because I'm a good dad.
Hey,
throw that out there. But yeah, a pastor I knew from back in the day walked by, and he's like, "How long have you lived here?" And I was like, 4 years. He's like, "I live right up the street." I was like, "I had no idea you lived up there." And we sat and talked for a while. He's a great dude. He's got a little church there in town. I think he's still running the place. But these guys you grew up with, they've known you forever.
Yeah.
They're genuine dudes. They're just great, good people. They're not out for money or for the wrong reason.
Yeah, and I think that's like I think that those people who, and I have a very good friend who actually, the guitar player in my band, Adam, his brother-in-law, runs a church, and he runs a bunch of small groups, and he's just out doing work. There's certain people that I know that run churches that do the right thing, and I know that they do the right thing because I know them as people. But man, for every one of those I see, I've been a part of a church before, and I had a buddy of mine who I saw at a gig the other night, and I had him tell me, we were talking about a situation that went down at a church we both used to play at. We were in the praise and worship band together, and just, man, when you get behind the scenes of some of these big churches and see all of the money that goes on in these things, man.
Yeah, private jets. I went to a big church one time in Phoenix, Arizona, when I went to that pastors and leadership conference, and it was huge. I mean, it was a monster church. And dude was like driving around in a fucking Bentley and shit. So he was taking some of that home.
Oh, easily. And no, and I mean, why not? Because they don't have to be taxed for it.
Yeah.
Which, the Drama City Productions, the Church of Drama City is about to, also be under those stipulations. Amigo says 501c3. He wants $250K salary. I think we can negotiate that for him. We might have lost Ben for a little bit. Yep, there it goes. But seriously though, these slimy people who get in and that's the thing, because I am a Christian. I'm not a weirdo about it like a lot of people are, but I have my beliefs. I have my beliefs, and it is embarrassing for me as a Christian to see these other folks who are also putting on that same badge that I put on as a Christian, And when people see them, they count me amongst them. And I don't like that thought. I don't like the thought of being counted amongst shitty people. And
people also mix religions and churches and things. Christian is separate from a lot of things that they clump everybody together. Right wing, Republican, Christian. Yeah. It's like not everybody's that. Right. Not everybody's that.
Right. Everybody's different. And I feel like personally, my personal opinion, I feel like there is a huge difference in the Christians who have read the Bible and the Christians who have had the Bible taught to them by preachers throughout their lives. Because most people will build their idea of what the Bible is by what these pastors have told them. And not to be a dick, but there's a lot of shitty pastors out there who have been misinforming people of what these stories actually mean for generations now. And it's sort of embedded in people's minds. And because I've read the Bible, and I was like, it doesn't come across to me the way that it was taught to me before I actually went and read it. So I feel like a lot of people just really misunderstand what it means to be a Christian, and Christians aren't better than anybody else. They're not in on something that everybody else isn't in on, like most people would want everybody else to believe.
Yeah, I kind of fell out of the whole thing 18, 19 years old. Spent that much time until 18 or 19 doing like three days a week of church, you know, being involved, doing the things, the drama team, all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Grooming to become a youth pastor. I played in worship band,
Yep.
I did all of this stuff. And I just kind of fell out and I went worldly, quote unquote, I guess. And now I've fallen out so much that I don't really want to say I'm atheist, but agnostic at least. Could be, could not be, who knows.
Yeah. I still say that I'm Christian because I'm just a traditionalist, and I'm very Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I worship the God of my father. I have that innate, is that the right word? I think I have that, in me still, just that generational desire, I guess, to please my dad. And
yeah.
So and there's something, I don't know, I like the thought of I will worship the God of my father. Let's
not get into dads.
Yeah. Heyo. Like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, would say. But then I'm going too far down that hole now. But these burps brought to you by a company I'm not sponsored by. But anyway, getting back to the pros and cons, I agree with you 100%. about the morals, and like the church atmosphere really does teach you how to be around people, especially meeting new people, because you're constantly meeting new people in church. And also, a lot of people come and go in church. You know, it kind of teaches you how to, deal with loss of friends. Yeah, disconnecting. Right. And there is some pretty damn good music that you can learn from. A lot of the greatest musicians that I've ever played with were in church.
Yeah, I haven't mentioned this to you yet, I don't think, but you do a great Reliant K.
Oh, man.
Throw that out there.
Thanks, dude.
When you were playing some of your old tunes, and I was like, oh, man, that's a great Reliant K he's got.
That little Sadie Hawkins dance.
Yeah.
Sadie Hawkins dance. I was at a gig at an undisclosed location at an undisclosed time in the past.
At an undisclosed church?
At an undisclosed church. And a Reliant K song came on the sound system, and it was Sadie Hawkins dance. And like, I was like, fuck, I haven't heard this song in years. And here it is randomly playing on the house system of this place where I'm randomly at, playing songs.
There's nothing better.
Oh.
We didn't, okay, I don't know if I want to bring it back, but we didn't even get into the sex shit. And the mentality of that you're going to hell regardless of what you do. If you ever do anything wrong.
Yes, elaborate on that.
That's another con. That's another con for sure. Not to mention, it's not only a con, but what it does to your psychosis and your brain when you become an adult and get into the sex stuff. It really fucks with you, man.
Yeah, and like, I think me and you have both talked, and I don't have a problem with disclosing this, but I've spent a lot of time in my room crying, praying for forgiveness for masturbating. How much time did you do that?
The same thing, yeah.
Crying.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
Asking for forgiveness for masturbating. And I mean...
Yeah, you gotta pray the masturbation away, I guess.
Yeah, right? I mean... And that's another thing, too, is like... There was so much... Like, I don't know. I've always been a weirdo. I had my ear, and by a weirdo, I mean like I grew up in rural South Carolina. Like I had my ears pierced. I had black fingernails and shit. Everybody in my family called me a faggot. Every single one of them. Like, I mean, that was just something that would always get thrown around as like a negative thing. And like, I don't give a shit what anybody wants to do with their lives. It's not going to affect me either way. But man, just that whole, like, to where anything that is different from what you believe, like, you're going to define every part of, like, you're going to put a stamp on me that I'm a certain type of person just because I do this one thing differently than everyone else does. And yeah,
that's another thing with church is the homosexuality.
And I mean, too. I don't give a shit, man. Like that's the thing. That's the, not saying that everyone should have the stance that I have, but everyone should have the stance that I have. If you're not gay, it doesn't fucking matter what is going on. If it's like, and Aziz Ansari made a joke at a James Franco roast about, like, do you think that if you read a book or become intelligent, the dicks are just going to start flying at your face? Like,
yeah,
that's not how it works, man. Like, fucking.
I like how you pronounce, like, you enunciated every part of his name.
Aziz Ansari?
Yeah.
Hey, man, Bennettsville, South Carolina. But no, but seriously, like, he said it best. Like, do you think just because, like, you read a book or you become somewhat intelligent that, like, I don't know, like, it's sort of like the connotation that if you're not good at sports, or if you're not like, I don't know, if you don't fit a certain criteria, that, you know, everybody just makes fun of you and shit. And that's sort of a very much a church thing, to how if you don't fit into this certain box that everybody else fits into, that you are immediately different and you are immediately, you know, looked down on. And it's no, go ahead.
I went out of my way to be different when I was in church.
So did
I had pink hair, earrings, tattoos. I was that kid. I was always the weird one, the odd one out. But I was always also very, I don't know how to say it, but I was like in it, you know? I was super in it, but I was also the odd one out. I was like weird all the time.
And weird is better. Stuff. You'll choose weird 1,000 times out of 1,000.
Yeah.
It's just much better to do things that way. You don't want to be the same as everybody else. What kind of fun is that?
I also realized that a little bit ago I said pronunciate, and I think I was mixing pronounce and enunciate together. So I think I created a new word, throwing that out there. Pronunciate.
Proper pronunciation.
Yeah. But yeah, where were we going?
No, we were just saying.
I like to throw things off by saying random shit in between conversations, and then fuck everything up. That's my MO.
Yeah, but I've been smoking pot and doing podcasts for so long that I'm really good at remembering where we were going because of the random shit that I went down. You were talking about the negative connotation that you get from church about sex and what that does to you mentally as a child growing up in church. And then that's when I kind of sidetracked it with, like, you know, how it's more than just that, but just like the connotation of not just do they tell you you're not allowed to do anything.
Yeah, not allowed to do things
until you're married, but they also restrict the fact that like I've got a cousin in Alabama who identifies as a male who is not biologically a male, and I don't give a shit. It's not going to change for me either way. It's not going to change what I like. But
yeah, like I don't care if you're gay as long as you're not gay about it. You know what I mean?
That's actually a really funny. Yeah, don't be gay. That's actually a really good way to put it. Like, yeah, be gay by all means. Don't be gay about it. But like my cousin, who, I mean, if she were, and she didn't grow up in the religious, you know, background that I grew up in, but had she grown up in that background, I feel like she would have just been forced to, you know, live a certain way or think a certain way. And I think I've even heard Fortune Feimster mention it, because she's from about the same part of the world I'm from, like just a couple counties away from me. Have you ever gotten into Fortune Feimster?
Yeah, she played on the Mindy Project or something like that.
That I don't know.
I've heard a couple of her stand-up. I think she was on a Degenerates.
Yeah, I think she did. She might have done a Degenerate set, and she just released another special that came out a couple months ago. She's really good.
Yeah.
And she's from right across the border she's in North Carolina, from, you know, right across the border from where me and Randy are from. But yeah, dude, she grew up in the same kind of like aspect where she was like, you know, I had to go to prom with a guy, blah blah blah, like, you know, I didn't give a shit, but they have to like keep these certain appearances up to fit in with their family, and I just think that's a really shitty thing to force people to do, especially somebody who has that, I don't know, has that kind of. I
was the type of kid that would have gone to prom with a guy. You know what I mean? And I'm straight.
Yeah.
You know, kind of.
Hey-o.
But I remember as a kid, I was like 15, 16.
He said he's straight till late. Hey-o.
Yeah. And my mom put on this church function for Valentine's Day, and you're supposed to bring a date, and I didn't have a date, so I brought my buddy. And me and him had the best time that you could have at a church-type Valentine's Day function. Just me and him hanging out, messing around. It was great.
I've said so many
Best
times.
date I ever had, probably.
I've said so many times before. I was like, man, I wish I were gay. Life would be so much fucking easier if I were. I'm just not. You know. But it's funny that we mentioned this whole gay church thing because Amigo says, "Did a pastor ever come on to either of you? If not, are you mad or do you feel indifferent because you were not picked? Like, why not
I feel
you?
like adequate. Yeah.
What's every other altar boy have that you don't?"
Exactly.
That reminds me of a Dom Herrera joke where it's like, I wasn't molested as a kid, and I would always go to the priest and be like, "Why not me, Father? What's wrong with me?"
Yeah, I mean, my butthole's a little hairy, but I think it's just as good as anybody else's.
I mean, that's only for certain people in your life to be able to determine. So, I mean, what can you do? What can you say? That is really shitty, isn't it? And I know that I know just these like slimy youth leader type guys who just have a bunch of these little Christian girls that they give rides home and shit. And I'm not going to go into detail because it's a personal story of a friend of mine but I know firsthand of in my area right now in the Myrtle Beach area, there has been like youth leaders of churches who have straight up like scoped out underage girls and done inappropriate things, and it's
who doesn't?
Hey-o.
Wait, what?
Is this live? Hold on.
We're live on YouTube?
Is this thing on?
Oh boy.
Is this thing on? But no, but seriously,
I call it scouting.
It's just a bit, guys. Seriously, like it's not. You don't have to look far to hear a story like that. You
have to look down. They're younger than you and shorter.
See, the hits don't stop coming, ladies and gentlemen. There's no rest for the wicked. You know what? Just go ahead and give it up for yourselves, guys. I mean, that was just hilarious. Just go ahead and just give it up for yourselves. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, you end up standing naked in your pastor's, whatever, the holiest of holies, and he's just looking at...
What the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah, he don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would have chilled with the pastor in the baptism tub, you know what I'm saying?
Hey-o. And then the pastor comes out and just says,
"This is just a bad reception, honey."
Spank my hairy ass.
What's that?
What's that?
I had a cousin that dated a girl that he met in a youth group. And they ended up getting married. But yeah, that's exactly how that happened.
Yeah, I mean...
He was the leader of the youth group.
And I don't know, man. And that story right there... That doesn't bother me so much. They get married or whatever, like, because I'm not. Listen, I know I don't. Maybe I've been brushed with it a couple times, but I'm not an expert on how love works. But I can imagine when it strikes heavily. So every now and again, sometimes that just might be a different situation, and this thing actually works out. But how many times is it that these guys just like groom these young girls to...
Same as teachers, probably around the same type of thing.
Like, oh yeah, for sure.
Gym teachers for sure.
Oh yeah.
Gym teachers and pastors.
Well, that works the other way too. I've talked about it before on the podcast, on my old podcast, but I've gotten when I was in 9th grade, I got a blowjob from my 8th grade teacher. Nice guy. No. but seriously, like it does work the other way too. I mean, she was, I don't know, early mid-20s, and I was like 15.
It's a weird thing, man.
I was 15. It is a weird thing because, like, it's sort of like, I don't know, you're 15, you don't really know what the fuck is going on. But then again, I kind of knew what the fuck was going on. But you can't think of the weight of, you can't, you don't know the weight of the situation at the time, right?
Well, if you try to think about the psychology of the person that's doing it, she's 21. She just got out of high school. Maybe she was a nerd or didn't get too social. So when she got out of college and went back to high school, she probably felt like she was back in high school. I'm guessing that's what a lot of it is.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like, allegedly, bro, thick. Good morning to you, by the way, Thick, our Australian mate from
What up, buddy?
West Coast Perth. But yeah, I mean, it probably was something to do with that, like just the fact that maybe she wasn't. But here's the thing: like, she was married, 2 kids. It was
just trying to find a way out.
Not a good situation. I was an idiot for doing it. And
No, you were a teenager. You were 15, and you knew what felt good. That's where your mind was at.
Yeah. And
a
yes,
15-year-old mind,
amigos,
when
I
it comes
did.
to sex, is any sex is great.
I did, amigos, because it got to the point to where, like, she would call me up to her desk and it got awkward. Like, I, mind you, was a good little Christian boy who didn't want to disappoint God. And I didn't know a lot about religion or anything that I was doing, but I'm pretty sure getting head down a dirt road from your 8th grade teacher, when you don't even have a night license yet, is probably pretty high on the list of things that God would be disappointed in you for.
You went down the dirt road? I didn't know we were talking about that.
Oh, dude, yeah. But seriously, I did that and kind of freaked out. It only happened one time, but it happened a couple times in the classroom, and like just random shit would happen a couple times in the classroom, and it ended up being the kind of thing to where she sort of held it over my head a little bit, to where she would write notes and drop them on my desk, and it would be like dirty notes about like really inappropriate shit. And it started to bother me. And I'm the kind of person, when something bothers me, I wear it all over my face. Like, it's like apparent that something is wrong. And my family, who saw me every day, noticed that, and they badgered me unto the point to where one day I just broke down and just said, I'm fucking flipping out because blah, 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 all of this story that happened. And another thing that kind of fucks you up, not outside of the religious thing about the sex thing, is having to explain your first sexual experience over and over and over in front of your parents and grandparents and high school administrator and fucking lawyer, and it was a big deal.
Yeah, the first girl I ever had sex with when I was a teenager, we were in the same church and the same youth group and all that other stuff. And so after people found out that we were having sex, because we had a pregnancy scare.
Oh, wow.
We had to go and talk to the pastor, talk to all these people, take classes. They made us take a class in church And it's like all this try to get God to forgive you type stuff. Like I said, it's like it really messes with your psychosis.
What did the class consist of?
What's that?
What did the class consist of?
It was pretty much going through the Bible about all the sex stuff. It's pretty much trying to rebuild our way back into the youth group because they made us take a break from our roles, essentially. Yeah.
You got demoted.
They were not happy with us.
Man, it's just, see, if they would spend half as much time educating children on...
Yeah.
Like educating
safe
children
sex
on safe... Right, on safe sex.
Instead of just, you're going to go to hell if you touch pee-pees.
Yeah, that's no way to live, man. I don't know. That's another thing that like there should be. Do you remember the movie Girl Next Door?
Yes.
Do you remember what they did in that movie with the porn tapes?
Fondly.
But isn't that a great idea?
What were you saying about the porn tapes?
So for those of you not aware, there's a movie called Girl Next Door, which I suggest you watch, and I can spoil most of it because it's not
spoiler alert from 1999.
Right? Yeah. Sorry, spoiler alert from 1999. Right. So in this movie, there's like this outdated sex education tape, and these kids in this movie sort of hire actual porn stars to give an updated sexual education tape that actually made kids interested in fondly Thex says in wit that can only come from the back of his throat fondly Jesus. Yeah. So but yeah, just that. So they made an updated tape to make kids interested in safe sex and whatnot, just to catch everybody else up on what we're going to be referencing. But wouldn't that be a good idea?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they've started doing that now. Things have changed a little bit in the forms of sex and secular activities.
Yeah.
I don't know if the church has changed at all, but the world has. Sex is a big thing now. It's an open subject.
Yeah, and
People talk about it more.
And I doubt the church will ever come around on that.
Probably not. But it wouldn't hurt to educate.
No, it wouldn't. And I mean, here's another thing too, is there's a lot of folks who don't believe in birth control. Like a lot of devout Christians who don't believe in taking birth control.
Or Christian scientists that don't believe in medicine at all.
Yes. They believe that just you can pray the sickness away and whatever.
Yeah.
But, man, not to be a dick, because I'm not trying to be a dick. But, man, these people who don't believe in birth control are usually the last people that need to not believe in birth control.
Yeah.
Like, they're the kind of people that probably
shouldn't be reproducing.
It should be mandatory that they use birth control. I don't know. And
there's people reproduce that shouldn't reproduce.
Like it's almost like idiocracy being a real thing. It's like most intelligent folks decide that it's probably a good idea to we'll have two and stop. But then you've got these trailer park folk, and I can say that I lived in a trailer as a child. These trailer park folk that'll just pop out, 5 or 6 of them, and populate the world with grand people. Have I lost you yet, folks? Have I lost you yet? I don't care. I don't give a shit. It's 4:00 in the morning on the East Coast. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's a late pod.
Yeah, man. I'm actually glad that you decided to do this, and I also want to apologize because I feel like I've been just rambling the whole fucking time and stealing all of the airtime.
I enjoyed it. I talked a little bit.
Keep burping up Sam pills. So, in closing, I want to like give my listeners, my viewers, a good idea of what your podcast is.
Okay.
So,
are you sure that's a good idea?
Absolutely, I'm sure. I'm positive it's a good idea. And not only that, guys, like, for nothing more than if you appreciate me at all, Ben here was kind enough to take my baby show under the wing of the Drama City Productions umbrella. So, if for nothing else than that, support the Small Town Mentality Podcast and Drama City Productions, all of their shows. Amigos PC in the comments here is also under that. But Ben, let them know. Tell them a little bit about the show.
It started as me just wanting to get into podcasting, and it revolved around just trying to be funny, always going for the joke, anti-PC type stuff. And now we just get random guests. It's just a hangout pod. I like people to come on and see where the conversation goes. I never have anything written down, no topics, no direction. A lot of people don't like that, but I like to have more of a genuine conversation and just see what happens. Like, I don't want to push the brakes on somebody getting into a subject because I have something else I want to talk about. You know what I mean? So, we just have different people on, somewhat famous. Sometimes it's just friends. Sometimes it's just comedian friends. And we like to just sit down and see what happens for an hour and a half. That's kind of the gist of it. It's a hangout. Come on, hang out, see what happens.
It's actually a perfect description. And then, as I've said earlier, when you cut out the first time, I was telling the viewers that your co-host is actually from the same hometown as me. We're from literally same county, like, you drive out of my town and drive right into his, and his is pretty much in the same town. So it's really ironic when we met that when me and Ben met, that he was like, yeah, man, my co-host is from Marlboro County. And I was thinking, he's probably meaning like Marlboro County, Virginia. There's no way he means Marlboro County, South Carolina. But sure enough, George Sin, old Switchy, I love the hangout style of STM podcast! !
Thank you, sir.
And if any of you guys are interested, right now, you can go in the description of this video and click the YouTube link, Instagram link, and Twitter link. And I imagine that if you were to click the Twitter, you could just very easily find a link that would send you to where to download the Small Town Mentality Podcast everywhere the podcasts are available. And
yes, sir,
get great content every night, every Friday night at 8 p.m. Central Time. Are I getting that right?
Yes, 8 p.m. Central every Friday.
Every Friday night, 8 p.m. Central Time.
And every month comes out an audio version every Monday. The audio version has a few extra things that the video version does not. Song of the week, that kind of thing. We got a couple, like a year and a half ago or something like that. I don't know. I started getting in touch with indie bands, and we decided to start playing their songs at the end of the show. Got a couple record labels now. People send us songs all the time. So
nice.
Every week on the audio version, there's a song of the week. So if you're interested in finding new indie bands to listen to, there's some great bands out there. Check them out.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. And thank you, amigos. And Thek, good point. Support them on Patreon. Do you know your Patreon off the top of your head?
Yes, patreon.com/STMpod.
Yep.
We're at STMpod on all things, everywhere.
Yep, STMpod, STMPodcast on Instagram.
Yeah. But I'm sure if you put in STMpod, it'd pop up.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Close enough. So yes, do go do that. Support them on Patreon. Fantastic people. Shout out DramaCityProductions.com. Shout out STMPodcast.
If you like my show and you like Kelsey's show, you'll love all the other shows. DramaCityProductions.com. You can find all of us on there and all of our links for Amigos, Kelsey, all the other shows. I would name them all, but there's a few.
That's right. All of them are on there. DramaCityProductions.com. Also, hashtag Get Screwed. Screws. Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey is the original peanut butter whiskey. Always remember that. Walk into your local liquor store and ask for a bottle of Screwball whiskey, but you should be able to find it pretty easily when you walk in. And everybody, my buddy Sean from Georgia sent me a message on Instagram the other day with a picture of Screwball whiskey saying, just got this, gonna try it out. Loved it. He said it was surprisingly delicious. When you think about whiskey and you think about peanut butter, you usually don't think about mixing them. But somewhere, somehow in the belly of San Diego, in the belly of Ocean Beach, somebody had the idea to mix peanut butter and whiskey. And here we have Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, the original peanut butter whiskey, and the only peanut butter whiskey that matters. Go to SKREWBallWhiskey.com and check out all the cool shit Screwball Whiskey is doing right now. Also, once again, DramaCityProductions.com. You go there, you can see all of the podcasts that are on the network, of which I am now a part of here with the Kelsey Hudgins Show. So, I think that's all I got for you. Follow Ben, STM Pod, on social media in the description of this video. Follow me at Yonder Wizard, WIZZERD, on Instagram, at Kelsey Hudgins on Twitter. If you want to hit me up on Facebook, Kelsey Hudgins. I don't use that near as much as the other two. And if you want to join the Discord, it is the Kelsey Hudgins Show Discord. There should be a link to it on my Twitter, at Kelsey Hudgins. So anyway, I think that's all I got for you. So in a world full of shitty people, don't be one of those people. Be a good person. Peace, bitches.